Monitor him! One-handed catch! Oh, he's got it!
Boys and girls, welcome to the cockpit. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your pilot tonight. Boys and girls, we are done with the NFL draft. I am so excited to talk to you. We got the call-in show tonight. You guys know how we do it. We're going to put 3 minutes on the clock, and after 3 minutes...
That's it! You're out of here!
That's right, you're going to get the chicken. But I want to hear from you guys. What are your grades across the board for the New York Jets? We'll talk to the chat a little bit, and then we'll say at 9:30, we'll go to the call-in lines. I'll drop the number in the, the live chat over there, and I can get your thoughts on everything going on. I do have let's see. I have my little report card thingy that I want to show on the screen. All right. Report card. See, I should have probably made some of this stuff beforehand. I panicked. I had to do the all the kid stuff, and I didn't get to finish my editing. So we'll do a little bit of this. Move me this way, and then let's see if I can get some letters up here. This is what happens when I do this on the fly. Trying to get things in the right spot. I'll talk to you guys in the chat, and then we will go to the call-in lines and give you my thoughts on everything. Just getting my stuff ready. Let's see. All right. You know, we'll go with this. This is how I'm going to make these letters happen on the fly. All right. So, boys and girls, the New York Jets made 7 picks. We got 7 new players coming to the New York Jets this year. I'm really stoked about it. We start the day off with Olu Fashanu. Now, you guys know I was very much pro-weapon. I wanted to go with one of the 3 wide receivers or even Brock Bowers. Now, as it goes, we were not even remotely interested in Brock Bowers. So we went with the Olu Fashanu route. I would say if I wanted to give this any kind of knock, it's a player that you're really hoping doesn't see the field a crazy ton right now, but it's a move for the future. And I was afraid that Joe Douglas may operate in the win now window. That's kind of why I thought weapon was the direction they were going to go. But seeing that they went with the offensive lineman and hearing Rodgers' comments saying that he's not necessarily thrilled or didn't think it was the biggest need at that particular spot, makes me feel that much better because there was so much narrative last year. Oh, Aaron Rodgers is the GM. Anything Aaron wants is what Aaron gets. Oh, the Jets wanted to bring in Odell. Oh, the Jets wanted to bring in Dalvin Cook. Oh, the Jets got Randall Cobb and Malik Taylor and Billy Turner and Nathaniel Hackett and like literally everyone else from the Packers. It was the New York Packers, the Green Bay Jets, whatever you wanted to call them. And this Olu Fashanu pick very much says, this is my team. I'm running it from Joe Douglas. Olu Fashanu gives you one of the best pass blockers in the country this past year. No sacks given up through his entire time in college. Really impressive player. And on top of it, it makes me feel even better that he's saying he would play any other position as well. It's not just the left tackle. Because in my mind, that's one of the reasons why I did have him slightly lower than maybe some other tackles that provided left tackle insurance, but also had the ability to play guard. So Olu being open to play those types of positions just makes me feel that much better. On top of we just shit-can friggin' Becton. I'm pumped that the personalities could not be further from different, further from, one another. Mekhi Becton, I'm just a left tackle. I'm a left tackle. You're going to pay me. Point to my thigh right here. Yeah, okay. Not going to play right tackle. He winds up signing like a swing tackle agreement for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm sorry, Mekhi Becton, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Tons of penalties, tons of injuries. Obviously, I wish him well as far as like a health perspective and whatnot, but I made an argument on Twitter. You could disagree with it if you want. I think the bigger letdown between him and Zach Wilson was Mekhi Becton. And it's obviously like Zach is the bigger bust. Mekhi Becton is absolutely a better player. But in my mind, I saw what we could have in Mekhi Becton year one, and then we just kind of got dragged along for 3 additional years. With Zach Wilson, we were like, 2 years, we've had enough of this. We're going to get Aaron Rodgers. And then, look, we got screwed and he played a 3rd year. But to me, the bigger letdown is Mekhi Becton because you wound up letting George Fant leave. You wound up letting Morgan Moses leave, and you couldn't address the offensive line the correct way because you kept having that hope in Mekhi Becton. Well, that's done. We got Tyron Smith, we got Morgan Moses, you got AVT, John Simpson, Joe Tippmann, and then you add in an Olu Fashanu that's going to be able to learn from someone that's an all-pro at the left tackle position, someone who he's comped after in Tyron Smith. I think this is an A for the New York Jets as far as this goes. Now, we move on to our 2nd pick overall. Once we wound up going with the offensive lineman in the 1st round, I felt like we needed to go with the wide receiver. And then you get one Malachi Corley in the 3rd round in a little bit of a trade up. You sneak up to get him. And this is exactly the type of player that I was hoping the New York Jets would go for. And in some sense, you got basically like 85% of what Brock Bowers brought to the table in a 3rd round pick instead of a top 10 pick. I didn't even mention the trade down where we got Olu. So even that's like a whole, nice thing where we got a few extra picks. But Malachi Corley, you trade up, you wind up getting, you give up the pick, second to last pick in the draft, 256, to facilitate the Zach Wilson trade. You come up, you get another pick, then you trade that pick, you get an elevated pick moving down from round 1 from 10 to 11, and the pick that winds up working its way up towards the top is the pick you give up to get Malachi Corley from 72 to get up to 65. So the maneuvering where you could say like Zach Wilson basically got us Malachi Corley and we saved $2.75 million in the process makes you feel pretty good. And Corley to me is more of that same similar personality that just is what the Jets needed. We had Elijah Moore, kind of a shithead, had Mekhi Becton. Didn't love his personality and some of the immaturity that came with him. Zach Wilson, same thing. Lots of immaturity, crazy high talent, but, sometimes the personality matters. And with Malachi Corley, he gave up $350,000 to $400,000 in an NIL deal, name, image, likeness deal, to leave Western Kentucky after the 2022 season when he led the whole league, whole nation in yak yardage. He turned it down to stay loyal to Western Kentucky. So to me, that was one of the reasons why I loved Braxton Berrios coming back. He reportedly had taken less money a few years back. Malachi Corley passing on the money to stay in Western Kentucky is a loyalty thing that I feel like is a personality trait that just speaks so much more to his character and type of person that he is. And that makes me feel oh so good. Not to mention, it's just like you bump Gibson down a little bit. You're probably going to take Lazard off the field a pretty good chunk of the time. And you have just a weapon that can take it the distance anytime he touches the ball. And he's going to bulldoze over people. Like, this guy's a converted running back. 3 years as a wide receiver. This guy's special. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I do think this is different than some of our other 2nd, 3rd round wide receivers that we've taken in years past. Obviously, we heard Denzel Mims and Elijah Moore's names brought up in the Talkin' Jets draft stream, and towards the end of that, I don't think they could be. They are so far apart from one another. Like, obviously, Denzel Mims, Moore, and Corley all play wildly different positions. Maybe you have some type of argument with Elijah Moore and Corley based on the size, but the personality is what gets me. Denzel Mims didn't really want to be here. And from what I've heard from people inside the locker room is they didn't really like Denzel Mims. He was always kind of muttering under his breath whenever he took a big shot on the field, and it just felt like he wasn't really like all in. And with Elijah Moore, I said it the minute we drafted him. I was like, man, that's the guy that cost his team a chance at a victory in a bowl game because he decided to celebrate and be the it's all about me in the old piss game where he pretended to pee like a dog, pushed the field goal 15 yards back, and the guy wound up missing it by a hair. So Elijah Moore's character was clear the minute we took him in the draft, and Malachi Corley's is completely the opposite. I absolutely love the Malachi Corley pick. I think it is a home run selection for the New York Jets. Now, when we get to the 4th round, we do a whole bunch of trades. I'm super irritated about like losing pick 111. We wind up getting a 2025 3rd round pick, so that's going to feel good when we do eventually have that. But just like tons of talent on the board while we're moving down. TJ Tampa was one that kind of stuck out to me as the player that really could have gone at a position of need for the New York Jets that would be a year early. Like, we have DJ Reed. We have Michael Carter II. We have Brandon Echols all going into the final year of their contract. There's no guarantee any of those three are going to be coming back. Now, obviously, we hope Michael Carter comes back. I think we're probably okay if Echols winds up leaving. Would love to sign him as depth. And Reed, I don't think we're going to have the funds to actually retain. I would love to keep Reed, but I think more than likely he's gone at the end of the season. TJ Tampa would have been able to sit, and this was a guy that 𝐂𝐿𝐼 had at the end of the first round and a lot of people had in the middle of the second round. So from just a pure talent perspective at an area that we're eventually going to need, I feel like that would have been a wise pick. But the Jets decided to move and shake a little bit. We wind up getting Braylon Allen, who you guys know as one of my favorite players in this draft. He's probably my draft crush for this draft season. 6'2" or whatever. Like Derrick Henry clone almost. Like very, very good speed between the tackles. Absolutely going to bulldoze dudes. He's only 20 years old. He doesn't turn 21 till after the AFC Championship game or close to it. He's not going to have his first legal drink until we're headed to the damn Super Bowl. That's what's going to happen. Braylon Allen, that selection to me, along with the signings of John Simpson and the trade for Morgan Moses and just how we've sort of set up this offense screams that we are going to run it down teams' throats. We were talking about it on the last show. This is something that Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers, they plan on playing with a lead, and we are going to bully you late in games. Like, imagine Sean Green, but take Sean Green to the 10th level, because now you've got Braylon Allen, who could be a very much better situation than what Sean Green was, on top of having Breece Hall. Then you got Isaiah Davis, who we took just 2 picks later, or two selections later. And then you have Malachi Corley, who was a running back. We basically took 2.5 running backs in this draft. What does that mean for 𝐒𝐿𝐼 Abanikanda? They're totally different styles, but split hairs and get as many linemen onto the roster. That's carried 9 last year. They wanted to carry 10 if they could have redone it. So you sort of think going into this season they want to carry 10. But Braylon Allen, I think, is a home run selection where we took him because he complements Breece in such a good way, and then also complements 𝐒𝐿𝐼. God forbid you lose Breece. You have this stable of backs now that will at least keep you afloat until Breece is back, and then ideally you don't lose him for too substantial amount of time. But he gives you that breath of fresh air that will allow Breece to not get dinged up and banged up on these 3rd and 4th and short type plays. I really like this. I think Braylon Allen was one of my favorite selections in this draft class. The next guy up, we're talking a little Jordan Travis. Now, maybe this is a little too high a praise, but I'm super pumped on Jordan Travis, mainly because of what we could do with the particular selection that we made. You have, obviously, we took him a round later than I thought. I thought we were going to have to take him in the 4th. We wound up taking him in the 5th round. Now, we have the connection with Jermaine Johnson. There's that little bit of clout that I think does come with bringing in a wide receiver or bringing in a quarterback that knows some people on the team. He's going to sit for the next 2 years. We're not going to have to touch him. He is going to be ready for training camp from everything that I've heard, which means you're going to be able to see him a lot in training camp. Aaron Rodgers only played 1 series last year. We tried to showcase Zach Wilson. We already know what Tyrod Taylor is. There's no reason to risk Tyrod Taylor's health when you have Aaron Rodgers, who's coming off an Achilles. You want to be able to have those 2 guys to move into the season. So I think we're probably going to bring in a 4th quarterback, at least for training camp, and you're going to see a lot of Jordan Travis throughout the preseason. And I'm really looking forward to that. This is someone that, because of where you took him, if he gives you the career of a Tyrod Taylor, this is a home run selection, and there's no way that you can be upset with this selection. If you get Tyrod Taylor in the 5th round, you are going to be very, very excited. This is a career backup then. And then with the upside of hey, if this guy didn't get hurt, there's a very good shot this guy gets picked in the 2nd round. So to me, I love the upside of Jordan Travis. I love the person that is Jordan Travis. I really like the ability to have him get a true redshirt year. To me, I've brought this up multiple times. If the Jets wind up doing it, I'm just going to do a victory lap because I feel like I was the first one to be yelling at the clouds for this. But IR him at the end of training camp. Give him the true redshirt year. Do not allow him to take a snap this season in the regular season. You save yourself that roster spot that I was just talking about previously. If you carry 3 quarterbacks, the Jets only carried 2 last year. with the 9 offensive linemen. If you carry 3 quarterbacks, that probably means you're carrying 8 offensive linemen or less players at another position somewhere else on the roster. So you're going to have to try and figure that out. I do think it would be a wise move if you can IR him. Maybe he has a setback at some point that year. And I don't know. Maybe there's like something you can't do where you play him so much in the preseason. They're like, wait, that can't happen. He's clearly ready to go. But I would try as like hell to IR him for this season and give him a true redshirt year. I'm very, very high on Jordan Travis. The next player we're going to talk about was a little bit confusing to me. I'm not going to lie. And I got to change the letter grade here because this is the first one that threw me for a bit of a loop. And that is Isaiah Davis. I'm going to give a C for this selection. And that's not a knock on the player. This is a knock on just the position in general for where I thought we could have maybe gone at that point in the draft. Taking a running back that does kind of feel very similar to Braylon Allen. Feels like the Jets are doubling down on this ground and pound style offense. Offense. Didn't think it, I thought it was doubling down what we solved correctly, and I didn't think it was really needed. Now, Dom seems pretty high on him. He was able to interview Isaiah Davis down at the Senior Bowl this past year. So if you didn't check that out, it should be over on the Talkin' Jets channel and one of our shorts. If not, it's over on Dom C's channel, Project Prospect. You can check that out. But this is more a grade based on position and having already solved it than, where I would necessarily feel comfortable. So not a whole lot to say there, but that's kind of where I fell on that one. Quantez Stiggers, what did I have for that one? I had, all right. We had a B+ for Mr. Stiggers. Pull this down here. I gave him a B+. Now, obviously, I felt like corner was a need coming into this draft. This was something I just said with TJ Tampa in the 4th round. It's something I would have selected because of the need at that position. I've heard that this guy could be a safety convert. Like, this guy is very much a ball hawk from everything that I've gathered from other individuals that have watched him. I have not done a ton of viewing of his whatsoever, but he took a very unorthodox path. Did not go to college. Wound up playing in the Canadian Football League, played in some other league that Matt had mentioned at the time that I just am totally blanking on right now. But either way, very unorthodox way to get into the league. And apparently, if you don't go into college football, you have to enter the draft. You can't just enter as a free agent. I did not know that. That was a very interesting factoid to learn there. But look, cornerback, it sounds right. I like the gamble at it. Like, at least you're getting someone who's a baller when he did play in the leagues he did play in. So high upside type swing at, in the 6th round or 5th round or whatever this wound up being. I think it was a 6th round pick, early 6th round pick. Either way, I'm very happy with where that selection ultimately went at that stage of the draft. The final player on our list, we're going to be talking about Jaylen Key. Jaylen Key, I gave a C for at the end of this draft. I said, it sounds like he's more of a box safety to be used near the line of scrimmage. Jets always seem to draft guys in the later round that they feel would be great linebackers or safety hybrids. We've seen Cyril Dean. You saw a whole bunch of different guys. Blanking on the top of my head right now, but very much like multiple drafts of this style of secondary guy. And to me, maybe these last few picks are more about special teams. The changing of the kickoff format, I'm curious to see what types of players ultimately succeed there. Like, are you going to see Breece return a kick when you're in crunch time? Or are you going to have these situations where you have, like, maybe it's an Isaiah Davis, or maybe it's a Jaylen Key or someone along those lines, someone that you don't feel the pressure of potentially getting someone injured. Like, special teams is going to be big. We're going to see a crazy ton of touchdowns this year from the special teams units, and I don't know if a lot of people are really talking about it. Like, the kickoff's going to be different, but it's going to be very, very exciting to see what ultimately ends up happening here. So I think maybe these last 3 could be looked at as special teams types players, but I love our first 4 picks in this draft. Those are my grades. That's kind of how I've felt after sitting back and digesting a little bit, I didn't do a ton of research into the undrafted free agents, so I'll have to dive into that and give you a little bit more critical analysis as I know more information on them. But from where I stand right now, these are my grades. I'm going to put a link in the live chat. We can do a little discussing as far as where we think your grades are comparatively to my grades. I would love to see where your heads are at. So link is in the live chat, pinned in there if you want to call in and do that. I've got a few people on the line. I just want to pull up the super chat that I had in here. Let me get this up real quick. Sorry, where did I have it? Darrell24 drops in. Where's my comment thing? Give me 1 second. Boom. Darrell comes in and says, oh, I hit it again. Where did I go? Come on. All right, Darrell comes in and says, I love how Allen said, make Rodgers a 10-year player. Yeah, he retweeted Blewett's comment earlier today, and I just like, I think Blewett was asleep. I texted him late last night, and I was like, yo, this is a badass tweet from my favorite player from this draft, Braylon Allen. So very, very much excited. If you get Aaron Rodgers for the next 10 years, we're going to see a lot of Robert Saleh and a lot of Joe Douglas coming up here. All right. Guys, stay on the line. I do see Alan, Cameron, and Joe calling in. I'm going to get to Jake and then Charles first, and we will take you guys in the order that you call in on. So let's jump over to Jake. Jake, what are you doing tonight? Well, that's my face is not on the screen right now.
It's my show now.
That is your show. Bam! Here I am. That's what happens when I have to change my camera. Welcome. What are your thoughts on the draft?
Man. What a weekend. And I'm smiling because I'm happy. And you don't see me very happy often. I'll put it that way. So,
walk me through the draft.
This was a very good draft. This is actually, in my opinion, this sounds controversial. I think this is JD's best draft. I really say that truthfully.
Really?
I say this because it's always easy to find a winner or two when you have multiple first-round picks, and I think that's what the sauce. I know everyone will say, yeah, I know we got every great player in Breeze, but think about he didn't have a second-round pick. He had to work around a lot more, and he took 3 picks to go 1 pick down. I was hoping. I honestly, there were the rumors about like the Rams going to 19. I was very interested in that idea. I think that would have been great, but they traded down. They got the right player. The Brock Bowers thing was just I was losing my mind with all the people who wanted Brock Bowers. I couldn't take it anymore. So thank God they did the right thing. They've got their future guy, pretty much, the next D-Brick. I think he's the next D-Brick, truthfully. And then Corley, I think, is really, the kid. I believe the Debo hype, but he could be the next like Debo Samuels if he's used properly. I think we have to also we have to factor in coaching in some way or fashion here. But I think as long as Rodgers and Hack are playing together, and also my buddy knows Hack, so he told me that like Hack was going crazy for the pick that night. So that was actually a pretty cool thing I found out. It's actually true. It's a true story. So
that makes me feel good. I knew Hackett liked the top 3 wide receivers. He very much wanted a receiver in this draft. So it's good that we got someone. What did you think of Aaron, maybe saying like, oh, I was like surprised. I didn't think receiver was necessary or offensive line was necessarily as big of a need based on the free agency.
I'm sorry, repeat that one more time.
There was a comment made on the McAfee show with Rodgers saying that like he didn't think offensive line was necessarily the biggest need based on our free agency. He thought maybe weapon would have been the bigger need. In my mind, I felt like that spoke to, hey, this is Joe Douglas's team, not this narrative of, oh, Aaron Rodgers is the GM. And I actually felt better because of it.
Yeah, us not taking Bowers showed you that because I'm sure everybody thought that Bowers would be the guy. Look, I've also said, and even though I'm praising JD for this draft, minus the second running back, I didn't really care for why we had to. Honestly, why we had to truly draft running back was a little questionable. I wasn't shocked by it. I'm like, all right, I know they gotta get the backup situation figured out, but but no, offensive line. I was hoping they would have taken like 3 offensive linemen at the minimum in this draft. I thought maybe they could have done that, But based on the circumstance, I think you're starting to see now, as we're a few days out of the draft, as why taking Olu was that important, because you saw that the offensive line depth, like after the second or third round, was really weak, like really. And they said this was a very big like tackle draft and everything. And I kind of realize now, like, yeah, they probably saw the board early and realized we got to get a guy here now. And receivers were going into what, like the round 4? I mean, Jesus,
Jerry Rice was there till like the 7th round.
The 7th round. How did that happen? Please explain that to me. Honestly, it's not like Thaddeus Moss is a tight end for Brandy's son. It's not like this. It's not concept. I mean, come on.
It blew my mind that he fell as far as he did. I mean, I clearly do not know the evaluation that went wrong there, but that was just very surprising considering most people talked about him being a 3rd or 4th round pick. Jake, thanks so much for the call. You've been ejected from the cockpit. Jake, always good to talk to you. We've got Charles, then Cameron, then Joe on the line. Before I hop over to Charles, I just want to answer a few super chats. Hennessy dropped in, says, B+ draft. We addressed the present and the future. Yeah, I would agree. I would have liked to have seen an interior offensive lineman. That might be my only real gripe. Piddledee-Poo comes in and says, Jets are going to regret not picking safety Jaden Hicks in the 4th round, trading picks away, and then when a day 2 player is sitting there. Jaden Hicks, TJ Tampa. Those were 2 selections that I thought would have made a crazy ton of sense. And it just, for whatever reason, the Jets don't value safety super high. And I mean, I guess we have our starters locked in, best secondary, in the NFL, I think, or at least from like the cornerback perspective. So for them to pass on him, I mean, maybe that's just showing confidence in your current guys, but man, that felt like a missed opportunity if you're asking me. Let's head over to Charles. Charles, how you doing, dude?
Good, man. I enjoyed the draft. I even talked about it on my YouTube channel.
Love it. Love it. What was your favorite pick of the draft?
I know when I was waiting for your call, I read some of the chats, and a lot of people were complaining about your grades, and I'm like, well, if you're going to hate Ryan's grade, you're going to love mine. You're going to hate mine. I gave the first 4 selections an A+.
Okay. That's fair. Now, can you kind of walk me through the thought process briefly on that?
Well, I know a lot of people were team weapon for the first pick in the draft, which is totally fine. But to me and my father was like, man, football is won in the trenches. Yes, you need weapons. Yes, you need a quarterback. Yes, you need playmakers. But the thing is, game is truly won and lost in the trenches.
Absolutely.
And we needed depth on the offensive line. We needed someone to protect not only Rodgers, but our quarterbacks. Notice I said quarterbacks, not quarterback, quarterbacks.
Yep.
And the reason why we brought back Morgan Moses, we brought in Tyron Smith, wasn't just to start for us. It wasn't just for us to build our offensive line, but to establish a future for the Young Bucks, for Max Mitchell, for Carter Warren, and even for Olu Fashanu. And I said, this kid is very good. This is very good. I like this kid, Olu Fashanu. I know he's got small hands, but he can... Look, man, small hands don't mean shit to me. If the guy can pack a punch, he can pack a punch. I have freaking small hands, and people used to bitch about me smacking them.
So, Charles, one thing that I've said, and I guess the one criticism that I've really heard is that the Jets they may not have drafted a starter in this entire draft. And someone tweeted that. Man, I was like, whoa, hold on. Is that a knock on the draft class, or is that a testament to the roster? Because if you're drafting backups because your roster is Super Bowl caliber roster, like, we're in a good spot. This is a great problem to have. I don't want to hear anyone bitching about that right now. Do you believe that? Do you think we are getting some depth and may not have gotten is there any concern for you that we may not have drafted a starter this year?
Not really. I can understand where people are coming from, but I don't think it's a knock on the draft. I think it's just depth, really. I think the players are very good, but it's just depth. And plus, probably my favorite pick would be a tie between Braylon Allen and Olu Fashanu.
Yeah?
Yes. And the rest of the picks, I gave a B and a couple of C+. All
right, that's fair.
I gave the overall draft an A. Anyway, my time's almost up. Peace
I
out.
love it. Charles, you're out of here.
You're
Ejected
outta here.
from the cockpit. Boys and girls, you can see my grades on the screen. If you want to yell at me for what my grades are, go pound sand, kick rocks, take a long walk off a short pier. No, I would love to hear from you. Call-in number is pinned in the live chat. You get 3 minutes on the clock. After 3 minutes, I eject your ass from the cockpit. Very much looking forward to getting into this. We got Cameron, then Joe, then Mike, then Devon on the line. Let's go over to Cameron. Cameron, how are you doing, dude?
Good. Another week, another conversation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How are you feeling about our draft now that we're a few days removed from it?
I'll be honest, when we picked Fashanu in the first round, I was pissed. I was
I wouldn't
genuinely
say
pissed.
pissed. I was definitely like, ugh. My
No,
reaction
like,
to the
I was
Odunze
personally
at
mad
9 was
because
just
I
like,
wanted Bowers. I've been telling you for weeks, Bowers was my guy.
yep.
Now he's not going to do jack shit in Vegas because they don't have a quarterback to get him the ball.
It's wild that they took Mayer last year and took Bowers. Like that, they're doubling down on tight end early.
They got a good tight end room.
Mm-hmm.
But the more I've looked at it, I understand the pick of Fashanu. I understand like where the value lies. You know, great pass protection to get better in the run, but you can build them up over time with that stuff. So I get what they're thinking. Tyron Smith is not going to play 17 games. You know, if you get 15 games out of him, 14 games out of him, that's a good season. So Fashanu's going to have to play, and at least you know you have somebody who can protect Rodgers because that's all he did in college. He's a damn good pass protector, so I'll take that.
There's also that little bit of like sort of a nod to the roster, right? Like I understand that Bowers would have been a massive upgrade over Ruckert and Conklin, but like that tight end room is young and still good. When you bring in someone like an Olu, it's very clear that Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses are in the twilight portions of their career, and you're kind of saying, okay, Olu, you're the future. Carter Warren, we still want you to potentially be the future. Maybe Max Mitchell, same thing. You guys compete for who could possibly replace Morgan Moses on the other side. I like what the Jets did. And to the people that say we may not have drafted a starting caliber player, what would you say to that? Like, do you think that's a problem?
Well, I would say, what about Malachi Corley? Because he's definitely going to get on the field, and that dude he's a handful with the ball in his hands. If he plays anything like Deebo Samuel, who arguably is my favorite NFL player, he just is.
He's a lot of fun to watch.
If he plays anything like him in the pros, then he's definitely going to be a starter. You put him in the slot, 3 yards in, and let him get 6. You know, he's happy to run through people. So if Williams can stay healthy, if Wilson can stay, you know, if Wilson isn't double teamed on every single play, I think Corley could be a damn good starter in the slot. I don't really see him as an outside guy, but he'll work great over the middle and just get you a couple yards that he shouldn't get otherwise.
Yeah, it was like, I've heard a lot of people say you get about 85% of what Brock Bowers would have gave you in a 3rd round pick instead of a top 10 pick. So maybe that makes you feel a little bit better in that capacity. What do you think of some of our other later round picks? Braylon Allen, maybe doubling down on a running back with Isaiah Davis, Jordan Travis. What do you think of those guys?
So I live here in Wisconsin, and I got to see Braylon Allen 3 or 4 times last year. We went to a few games. My work got tickets to games, and he is a handful to take down. But the one criticism I'll have, and I hope they work with him on this, is he needs to run behind his pads. He likes to run upright as a heavy back. You know, he doesn't have the best breakaway speed. He's a downhill runner, but he tends to run straight up and down. And it's like, you know, get your pads out in front of you. You've got enough weight to run over people. Use what you've been given. And he just doesn't.
I love it. Cameron, thank you so much. You've been ejected from the cockpit. All right, let's head over to, let's see. I need to put, sorry, I'm jumping to the wrong person here. Sorry, Mike. I'm going to Joe first, then Mike. We got Joe joining us. Joe, how you doing tonight?
Hey, what's up, Ryan?
Doing pretty good. Feeling good after this draft. The first 4 picks that we got were like out of the storybook for me.
I followed you for about 3 days with that draft party. I enjoyed it, I got to say.
Dude, it was so much fun. It was an absolute blast.
I give this draft about, I'm going to be honest, a B.
Okay,
I don't think
fair.
it's a B plus or an A.
Okay.
I thought they could have gotten the 4th round. They could have got Hicks, the safety, instead of Davis. Or they could have got Matt Goncalves, man.
Mm-hmm.
And to replace Morgan Moses down the road. He went to Indianapolis in the 4th round. I mean, they do pretty good with drafting an offensive lineman in Indianapolis. And I was hoping the Jets were going to get him. But they didn't go that route. I do like Olu. I think McSorley's good. I think Braylon is a fucking animal.
Oh, yeah. Beast
and
mode.
My favorite pick, though, was Jordan Travis in his draft.
Yeah? Love it. Tell me about it. What do you like about Jordan Travis?
I think he's got a year or two to sit back and learn. He's got a great attitude on top. First off, I think he sees the field very well. Good arm. I wouldn't say great, but good arm. But he's going to sit back and learn, something that Zach Wilson never had a chance to do. And I think he fucking wants it. You know, he's not this ego. Oh, yeah, I got this in a bag like Zach Wilson because I'm just so talented. He's like, I know I'm going to have to work hard, but I'm going to get there.
There's adversity, right? Like, he dealt with adversity. He breaks his friggin' ankle heading into the playoffs. This isn't like, you know, the story that we heard about Zach Wilson with the 3-car garage guy. He's got all the time in the world to sit behind one of the oldest offensive lines in college football during the COVID season. Like, to me, Jordan Travis is the complete opposite of what Zach Wilson was coming into like the NFL. And like literally all the players that we took, at least the top 4 that I've done more research on, is the personalities and like the character is so drastically different than some of the earlier drafts that Joe Douglas had.
I got to tell you, I looked at Stiggers documentary. Let me tell you, man, this kid has potential to be better than Michael Carter. This kid is got a great vertical. Great hands. He's a ball hawk, bro. I know he played against Canadian Football League, which is like Division 1, but that's basically, you know, what you play in when you're in college, Division 1, right? I like him, man. It came out of left field, but I like this pick a lot.
Yeah, I'll be honest. The last 3 picks of the draft, I didn't like the second running back pick. I don't like the Isaiah Davis pick. I would say my biggest criticisms of this draft, the second running back, and the trading around that happened in the middle of the 4th round. Like, I thought there were too many good players that we could have taken at that point. And if I factor that into my draft analysis, I didn't put my overall grade of the draft. I have it as a B+, as my overall
just
grade.
Remember, Matt Goncalves we passed on. Remember
It's true. It's true.
Take care.
Joe, thank you so much for the call. You've been ejected from the cockpit. Joe, thank you so much for the call. We have, let's see who we got on the line. We've got Mike, then Phenom, then Devon. Let's go over to Mike. Mike, how you doing, dude?
Yo, what's going on, boss? I want to piggyback on that Jordan Travis pick because I love that one too. It's going to sound a little messed up, but it's even better if he might not be ready to play this year, so we can put him on the IR, save the roster spot, and sit for that whole year as a true redshirt year. So there's a 0 chance to play, so we don't do him what kind of happened with Zach Wilson, where they just screwed it up just a little bit. Because I know they want to carry linemen, so if you can IR him, there's your 10th lineman spot right there instead of 3 quarterbacks. But I don't know if it's a little cynical, but I hope he comes into training camp, does everything right, but we could just literally redshirt him. We win that entirely.
I completely agree with you. If we can have him play the preseason and like get to see what he is, and then be like, oh, we had a setback, and then like IR, like I don't think he's going to be upset with that either, to be honest.
No, I think it's best case scenario personally, in my opinion. I didn't like the Corley pick. I know he's a beast. I understand why we love him. You know, Yak King, I'm all for it. Here's my problem. Nathaniel Hackett is my problem. He couldn't scheme a Cole Hardman onto the field. Gibson was kind of lost at times, and we're saying, oh, this guy's kind of like them. He's going to play in the slot. Not exactly like Debo. He can't play outside yet. He has a lot of trouble with the contested catches in the last 2 years. So that does concern me. But I think, like, yeah, if Rodgers does his pre-snap motions, everything on the side, he'll be fine. Like that, now, and then like that.
I was gonna say, what about like? So obviously, we didn't like how Hardman and Gibson were utilized last year, but we played so few drives and so few like long drives where it was like 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Like we're going to have more opportunities to kind of develop a game plan. So to me, there's like some degree of like unknown there for how Hackett develops an entire drive instead of just the, a top, first 3 drives with Aaron Rod or with Zach Wilson getting sacked on one of them or like thrown in the dirt. Like I think it's going to be a little different.
I'm hoping that with Aaron Rodgers, the gloves come off more with this offense, and we see that. I really think they coddled it. The one complaint I have about this draft is that it only makes me feel like they botched last year's even more. It kind of looks like they were unprepared last year's draft. Drafting 2 running backs mean they have no faith in Izzy, so that means that you didn't do diligence then. Like besides Tippmann and I can't remember his name. McDonald.
And Will McDonald.
It feels like everyone else is just a waste. Like it felt like after Jones, so was that his name? The Patriots jumped us, got that, or the Steelers
Roderick
jumped
Jones.
us and got that. Everything just kind of fell apart a little bit. It feels like in that draft. Like
I felt the same exact way.
It's like we take 2 running backs. That's okay. I really wanted Rice. He went in the 6th round, so maybe they all know something I didn't. That's how I was looking at that. Like, if he dropped that far, maybe that 3rd round grade on him wasn't exactly correct.
Accurate.
If nobody was that.
I would have taken like a swing at Brendan Rice over taking Isaiah Davis. And that's not a knock on Isaiah Davis at all. Like it's just more so like
I felt like there was need.
We tripled down.
Yeah, I always hate how it's like, it's a wide receiver heavy draft, so we only get 1 wide receiver instead of like double dipping. Like why double dip at when we could I thought it was more necessary to up a wide receiver. I do like the draft. I love the Olano pick probably more than more people do because I see the future of it and the immediate impact it has. But there's definitely some questions I have about the draft. It's more like I don't want to crown anyone a preseason king because I know how that goes the last 5 years team. So I kind of want to see what happens. I got to see it on field, basically.
I love it. Mike, thank you so much for the call. You've been ejected from the cockpit. Mike, always a pleasure to talk to you, dude. Let's head over. We're going to talk to Phenom now. Phenom, how you doing, brother?
Hey, what's going on, Ryan? Great work during the draft and getting us ready for draft season and all like that. Just tremendous.
I appreciate you guys tuning in.
It's good content, man. It's good content. You get us ready. You give us some information. You give us some concepts. We did a lot of stuff, man. So I was obviously team offensive line. So when I heard them trade down, get draft picks, and then get Olu Fashanu, who I had as my 4th-rated player. Because I made a list of the 10 top players who I would accept as draft choices if we got them. One being Marvin Harrison. Number 2 being Neighbors. Number 3 being Joe Alt. Number 4 was Fashanu. So
even over Odunze.
Yeah. I had Odunze number 5.
Okay, that's fair.
I had Odunze number 5. So when all that stuff is going on during the draft, it's just like fantasy football to this now. Well, as we scratch off names before they get to you. Well, so we see Joe go off the board. We see, and you guys have been making a big deal about Odunze. You guys were on point. As soon as that happened, and no, it was the Penix trade. As soon as that happened, and then that shifted everything. And then now we have a chance to get, and then we get, like I said, we got some draft picks. So we get Fashanu. That's my favorite player in this draft. But I was pleasantly surprised when we got Braylon Allen, because I'm an Ohio State fan. I know what Wisconsin backs do. He's the 9th all-time leading rusher in Wisconsin history, behind some pretty good backs. So is he a work in progress? Of course. None of these guys are finished products. That's what it takes to be a pro. They got to get a little better. So overall, just I thought they just made some good moves, and we know that they have a history with undrafted free agents. So since there's some guys that might make this ball club that are on that list. There's a guy from
think is it Leonard Taylor was the guy that a lot of people are talking about right now?
No, it was. I'm sorry, Ryan. I'm stumbling. But Leonard Taylor, the guy from Michigan, and that Bradley Latham from Arkansas. 4-year starter, started 47 games. Big guy, 6'5", 203, 204. We're going to see maybe he can get some, because I was hoping they would get an interior defensive lineman as well. So the Jets hit a lot of spots. Did we get all our guys that we wanted in these drafts? No. But we had so many scenarios that you guys saw a lot of this stuff. Mm-hmm. You and Green Bean, and all you guys did a great job.
Our first 4 picks were like, I was going to say, our first 4 picks were like an NFL Jet mock draft dream. It was like all the players that we had discussed all offseason.
Absolutely right. We drafted Braylon Allen at 134 a couple of times. I think 3 weeks in a row we drafted him at 134. I'm serious. I'm like, when this is going on, I'm like, I'm out of here.
You're out of here, chicken. Thank you so much for the call, brother. All right, let's rip through a few more calls. We got Devon on the line. Devon, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing good, Ryan. How you doing?
I am feeling very good. This draft had me all sorts of excited. The first 4 picks are exactly how I wanted them to play out. I'll be honest, not crazy about the trading down that we did in the 4th round, but I like getting a 3rd round pick next year. Very happy overall.
Yes, very, very happy. Overall, I'd give it a B+.
Mm-hmm.
I say it goes to an A if Olu doesn't have to play a whole lot.
Ooh.
I really want him to sit.
Mm-hmm.
Not
I mean, you obviously want to have the all-pro and Tyron and Morgan Moses play. Like, if they could stay healthy the entire season, like, the best-case scenario for Olu is not seeing a snap, because that means our starting line is intact.
At first, the Corley pick, I was a little sour on. Because I want to say Roman Wilson was still on the board at that pick.
I think he was, yeah.
I'm an Ohio State guy.
Mm-hmm.
Born, bred Buckeye. Yeah, I watched him for 3 years tear us apart.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I want this dude who he played both slot and outside at Michigan. But Corley, I also watched him play Ohio State. I want to say twice.
Mm-hmm.
We played Western Kentucky a couple times, and he torched us.
Mm-hmm.
He went for like 130 yards this last season on Ohio State's defense.
Dude, the personalities, I think, of the top 4 guys is what makes me so excited. Like, Olu willing to play multiple positions, Corley, passing on $350,000, $400,000 to stay loyal to Western Kentucky, Braylon Allen completing 2 years of high school in 1 year to go to Wisconsin early and coming out and just being an absolute bully. And then Jordan Travis going through all the adversity of having the broken ankle and coming, falling from arguably the 2nd round all the way down to the 5th round. It gives you that sort of like humbleness of like, hey, this can be taken from me in a heartbeat. And that is a far cry from where Zach Wilson was.
Oh, yeah. No. What was I going to say?
No, I screwed you up. I'm sorry.
Travis. No. I worked 12 hours today, Ryan. I'm
You're an
dead,
animal.
and I'm gonna be back in at 5 o'clock.
Oh.
Travis, I wasn't so much of a fondness for him. I liked him. I was more of a Pratt guy.
Okay.
I liked Pratt. The deep ball, he just seemed to have that pocket composure, but he's able to move a little bit. He, to me, seemed like an Aaron Rodgers-esque. Yeah, I can move, but that's not my game. But overall, I'm stoked with this draft.
Gotta be feeling pretty good. Is there any, like, one position that you would say you feel like is still a weakness at this point?
Safety.
I'm right there with you.
All day.
Devon, hopefully we see Simmons get brought in free agency after the draft. That'd be really nice. Maybe with some of the money we save from JFM, we'll see. Devon, thank you so much for the call. You've been ejected from the cockpit. Always good to talk to Devon. We've got Ground and Pound on the show. Then we got JD Grant, Carson, and then I see Force Phil, Kevin, and YT Dano down in the queue right there. So just hang tight, guys. I will get to your calls and the order that they arrive. Ground and Pound, welcome to the cockpit.
How's it going, Ryan?
Not too bad. Dano, I do see your comment in the chat. Your call is stuck on ringing because if I have everyone in the green room, it slows down my computer because I have so many video feeds coming in. So just stay in the green room. You can hang up if you want and call back in if you don't want to sit on it. But I'll get to you guys in a moment. Ground and Pound. How you doing, dude? Long time no talk.
Is it just me, or is this like the best you felt about our offensive line in 15 years?
It's the best I've felt since DeBrickashaw Ferguson and Nick Mangold retired. Yes, absolutely.
Because my thing, too, is that even if a couple guys get hurt, I could totally see how we'd be all right. I mean, either tackle spot will be all right. Either guard spot, we'd be all right. So I feel great about it. I think this could be a top 5 offensive line. I mean, I'm pumped about it.
If they stay healthy, this is going to be a very, very talented offensive line. I would like to see them bring in a little bit more interior offensive line depth. If that winds up being in the form of a Connor McGovern or something like that, I'd be pretty happy there. I feel like Max Mitchell is probably a roster bubble type player at this point. But yeah, I agree. I think this offensive line is in a spot where you can feel pretty comfortable.
I would have said Carter Warren, actually. I don't know. I mean,
you think Carter Warren's on the bubble more than Mitchell?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both on the bubble, but I don't know that Carter Warren, he's a developmental guy, and so it all comes down to what they've seen in practice, right? So, I don't know.
I think he had a broken leg coming out of college, out of Pitt. I think that's what it was. I mean, I could be wrong. It was some type of injury he had his final year, and he didn't really play for us until halfway through the end of last season, and he was supposed to go a lot higher than he did. So I feel like the potential is there, which is why I think Max Mitchell going into, I think is it year 4 now, 3 or 4. I feel like that. Yeah, either way, feeling very confident. What do you think about some of our other picks? Obviously we've got Braylon Allen, you got Jordan Travis, you got Malachi Corley.
So, I'm going to talk about the Jordan Travis pick for a second. First of all, I actually really like the pick. I like the player. I think everything you mentioned is great. I also think he's a developmental player. As good as he is, he's definitely not the kind of guy you want to start right away. So the fact that we're getting him as the 3rd string at best, I think is fantastic, right? So I used to be Zach Wilson truther, right? So I think that when you take a developmental player, if you play them right away, you really can spoil them. Again, he was a bust. I mean, it is what it is, right? But he's not the kind of guy you want to throw right in there. So I think this is the way you get a player like that.
𝐀𝐿 corrected me. He said Carter Warren tore his meniscus. That was the injury that he was dealing with. End of his college season through the beginning part of our other season. I completely agree with you. I'm on board with the Jordan Travis pick. Thinking about Malachi Corley and Braylon Allen, any thoughts on that, or even the last 3 guys? I thought it was weird that we doubled down on big time running back.
So one thing with Braylon Allen is he fumbles a lot, right? So that's actually the one thing that if you watch Play Like a Jet, I thought his breakdown on Braylon Allen was awesome. Same thing with Corley. Actually, one last thing I'll leave you with. I actually had a question for you. Sure. I really don't get the Tyrod Taylor signing relative to what Justin Fields went for. You look about it the pick we spent on Jordan Travis, right? I mean, I just can't get over how Justin Fields went for nothing. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are. Would you rather have had Fields on this roster knowing that we're not going to pick up that option and, it's just a 1-year thing? I just think he's a really good player.
I really like Fields. So if you were to try and talk to me and say, instead of Tyrod, we're going to have Fields as the backup, from a player perspective, I like Fields a lot. And there's a lot of upside there. I think you're right. We would not have exercised the 5th year option. It's a 1-year contract. I think with Tyrod, it gives you a much higher floor with a limited ceiling. But I'm okay with that in the capacity that we're asking him to play. With Justin Fields, there's no way Joe Douglas was going to make that trade, especially with having Zach Wilson still currently on the roster at that particular point in time. You would have had to move Zach, and then he would have had to swallow every ounce of pride after passing on Justin Fields initially for Zach Wilson. So I don't think it was ever realistic for that to happen. I understand your thought process with it on that. I think Tyrod is just the higher floor, safer player, been in the area. He knows the New York media. He's been in that sort of spot. And I think if they had identified, Jordan Travis early on, I don't know if that was, who they kind of wanted, but I feel like him and Tyrod and Travis, that is, have similar styles of play where they're both athletic, can move outside the pocket. You're going to, not throw a crazy ton of interceptions. And you know what? If we can get Travis to be that type of player for his career, I'm fine with taking a career backup in the 5th round with the high upside of being a 2nd round, quarterback that might surprise us at some point. Zach Truther, cool. Now ground and pound. Thank you so much for the call. You've been ejected from the cockpit. Always good to talk to you, dude. All right, let's see. I'm going to add in some more people. Hopefully I don't slow my computer down too much. I'll get you guys all in here. Let's go over to JD Grant. JD, how you doing, dude?
Ryan, what's happening, man? How you doing?
Oh, that's a sharp hat. I didn't get mine in yet. That's so nice.
I know. I was so worried that it was going to come by draft day, but then it showed up.
Can you turn to the
Wednesday.
left? I want to see the state on the side. Oh, it's so cool. It's so fresh. I want it. Very cool. What are your thoughts on the draft, dude?
Dude, I loved it. It felt great. It felt great, like that the organization had themselves wired tight. Like, yeah, they wanted to. I think we all think they wanted to go off after Dunze, and then when he fell off the board, it wasn't panic. It's like, okay, cool. Not only are we going to go get our guy, we're going to trade back one and get a little bit of value added, and still get our guy. That felt great.
That was the perfect scenario. I wasn't very much Team O-line, but I was like, you know what? If you trade down, I am Team O-line. Now, I thought it would be further than one pick, but I'm okay with it. I'm not opposed to it.
No, and I think Olu's a great player. I think, you sit there, and the other thing everyone doesn't think about with the O-line is, yeah, we got guys on 1-year deals, plus we got to pay Garrett, we got to pay Sauce. So getting a guy on a rookie contract who's a franchise left tackle, it just makes all kinds of sense. Like, honestly, the first 4 picks just were baller for me. I think, like, the Jordan Travis pick, that's what a good organization does when they're kind of paying for the future. And I never thought we felt like that. I always thought we were doing desperation moves and, like, just hanging on by a thread. Now it's like, no, we got a guy who's going to sit behind. The last dude that sat behind Aaron Rodgers named Jordan's doing okay, man. So I'm just saying, just throw it out there.
He's doing pretty decent. I definitely like the for the people that are saying, like, we may not have brought in, enough starters onto this team. I turn to him and I say, like, well, that's a testament to the roster. Like, Joe Douglas has built such a good roster that we are getting guys in a capacity that we are able to develop them. Like, that's exactly what the draft is meant for. You're not supposed to just throw guys in willy-nilly.
That's how good teams stay good. That's how KC stays good. That's how all these teams that have been good for the last 5 years stay good. I think the running back pick, the second running back pick, I'll be honest with you, that was a little bit of a hiccup. Like, I feel like we could have gotten every dude that we got in that part of the draft and not traded and kept a few more guys, because at that point it's a crapshoot. Whoever hits. Last dude I think is going to be interesting as heck is going to be that guy who came from Canada, from playing in the CFL, man. Like, nobody knows him. There's no college tape on him. He seemed like he did pretty good playing in Canada, so who knows? Maybe that's your secret corner or special teamer or something like that. I don't know.
High upside, right? Like, that's the kind of guys you want late in the draft. It's like unorthodox style players, or like crazy athletics, or like maybe an injury or a personality trait or something. Like, this guy doesn't have the personality trait issue. It's like just a weird unknown.
Yeah, man, it was great. Also, I think just for the thing, y'all did great on the first round. I thought that party, it's a shame. I grew up on Long Island, but I live out on the West Coast now. Shame I couldn't quite swing with the wife a plane ticket out there, man. But that looked super fun.
Unreal. There's a few things we'd change a little bit if we did, like when we do it next year. Like, we needed speakers. It was definitely louder than we had anticipated. Like, no one could really hear us that was there. But man, it was a good time, a lot of fun. There was like 70 people from like our crew and like 150 from the bar.
I watched Green Bean show this morning. It was hilarious. The dude that just sparked a cigar and nobody cared.
It was unreal.
Like, whatever. I got my guys. I'm smoking. Whatever.
Yep. I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh my god, the main event's gonna kick us out. We can't have. So now it's on this freaking draft. Jeremy and like freaking Nick Shiner doing belly bumps and everything. I love it. It's incredible. JD Grant, thanks so much. You've been ejected from the cockpit. All right, let's head over to Carson. See how Carson's doing tonight. Carson, how you doing, dude?
What's going on, Ryan?
I'm feeling pretty good. Pretty good. How you feeling about this draft?
I'm feeling pretty good. I just want to kind of talk about a couple of things here.
Sure.
Just to kind of see where your head's at. I think Rome was their first target. I think obviously Rome was their first target. Here's the key thing that I want you to think about, right? Maybe this was just Joe Douglas masterclass here. Ready? Olu Fashanu never got a top 30 visit. He didn't get a visit at the combine. He never got a private workout from the Jets, and they never met with him privately. So it makes me believe that if they were going to go tackle there the entire time, they either thought it was going to be Latham or Alt, because they never met with him anywhere.
So they didn't have a top 30 visit. It looks like they only met with him. Well, he's got him at the Senior Bowl. I don't think Olu went to the Senior Bowl, though. So maybe it was like some other type
They
of
didn't
meeting.
meet at
Maybe...
the combine. They did not have a private workout, and they didn't have anything on him.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Nothing.
Like, what do you make of that then?
You know what I think? If they were going tackle all along, I think they thought Latham was going to be there.
So you think they would have upgraded from Morgan Moses then? Because I don't think many people thought Latham would be moving over to the left-hand side.
See, that's the part that I don't understand. That's the one area I don't understand. They didn't, unless they purposely didn't want to lead other teams on to believe that they were on Olu the entire time. That's the only other plausible explanation I could think of. That's really it. It's just something to think about.
Yeah,
but what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, what were your thoughts of like the other draft picks, in particular, like the next three, Corley, Allen, and Travis?
I think Corley's awesome, filling a slot need. I think that's awesome. Braylon Allen, bruiser. We needed somebody behind Brees to take off the load. The second running back pick, I don't know. I think that's just a dart throw. And I like Mr. Relevant Key. I think he brings something on special teams. And I think Stiggers is an awesome dart throw. Rookie of the year in the CFL. I think that's an awesome dart throw. But something I want to talk about, and I think a lot of Jets fans want to talk about, is Jordan Travis. Okay.
Sure.
Now, I think this is one of their better picks of the draft, in my opinion. Okay, and here's why. People forget, if Jordan Travis didn't break his ankle, he's probably top 3 in Heisman voting. He probably would have gone early second, late first round, the way quarterbacks went this year. You're telling me if he's in the top 3 of Heisman voting, there's no way he's not going in the first round, especially this year? We saw Bo Nix go 12.
I was going to say Bo Nix went 12. I mean, it's very possible that you would have him graded similarly to Nix.
Yeah, no, and listen, I think every Jets fan is very happy with this offseason. I think there's a couple other things they need to do. I think they need a run stopper up the middle. They need a safety. But, I love talking to you. Love chopping it up in the DMs, so I'll get you soon.
Hell yeah, dude. I'll see you over on the Instagram side of things. Carson!
Yes, sir!
Thank you so much for the call, dude. You've been ejected from the cockpit. Boys and girls, as you tune in, make sure you hit that like button. I do have the call-in link pinned in the live chat if you'd like to call in. I've got Forcefield, I've got Kevin, and then I've got Dano calling in. So let's go over to Force O Phil. How you doing, dude? Welcome to the cockpit.
Hey, long-time listener. This is the first time I'm calling in like this. It's
glad to have
Force
you.
O Phil, by the way.
Force O Phil.
So,
gotcha. Sorry, I'm an idiot.
Yeah. It's okay.
Words are hard.
It's because it's all one word, no spaces. So I totally get it. So I actually had a question for you.
Sure, shoot.
And my question was, and this was the question I had at the end of the draft. It was big-bodied wide receivers like Mike Williams, because my concern about Mike Williams is I had last heard that he may not be ready until week 1. So my thought process is, until then, what's the plan for his duties and his role?
So I'm right there with you, and that's actually why I really wanted Rome Odunze early on in the draft. Like having the Mike Williams not being healthy kind of looming over us, I wanted someone that could complement Garrett Wilson. I feel like they're hoping that Williams is going to be ready for week 1 because he tore his ACL in a similar week that Brees did as well, and Brees came back for week 1. So we may not see him throughout training camp much, similarly to like how we didn't see Brees last year. But I honestly think they're going to put Lazard in that spot for the time being. And I know they're going to lean on the running game. They're going to lean on Garrett. They're going to lean on Conklin. They're going to lean on Corley. But like I think Lazard is going to be that like 5th option that you're going to look at. Like as far as like like they're going to try and not like I would imagine when Mike Williams gets back into the lineup, he might elevate himself higher up on the pecking order of targets, where Lazard will be in that spot, but will be lower down on the target list. Like I would imagine Garrett, Brees, Corley, Conklin are the 4 guys that get targets before Lazard gets looked at. I think. And maybe they hope that Lazard's blocking ability is helpful as well. I would like to see us add another receiver, I'll be honest. I was hoping we'd get like a Brendan Rice late.
Exactly. That's exactly who I wanted. In fact, that was one of the main things that I was like messaging my family and friends like all day, like, you know, Brendan Rice is falling. Like, why is he in free fall? What? Yeah, like what's happening here?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I still have no idea what happened. Like a lot of people had third round grades on this guy, like fourth round at like the worst, and to see him go sixth or seventh round, whatever it was surprising. Like I would have rather taken him instead of the second running back. I feel like the Isaiah Davis pick, not the player being bad, but just like it just didn't make sense to me.
Correct. And I agree with exactly all that stuff. And the funny thing is that actually, to be honest, also speaking of our draft class as a whole, I was ecstatic with Olu, with getting him and whatnot, because I felt like I was one of those people that eventually, like, I didn't want Brock. I really didn't want him.
There was like that was super polarizing. It's like people either loved him or like fucking hated him.
Of course. And for me, it was the 48% attaches behind the line of scrimmage that scared me.
Okay.
And all that stuff. But like now that I also know what Corley's doing and all that stuff, and also in general, since like we didn't really have someone who was doing that stuff anyway, it's kind of weird that now, like, I feel better about that. And I feel like the reason why I feel better with Corley is because I feel like that makes more sense in terms of like value and whatnot. Whereas I feel
asset
like
allocation kind of.
Yeah. Whereas like with Brock, I feel like that would be a reach.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you look at our tight end room, it's just Conklin and Rucker. You got to be pretty encouraged with that. You look at what Corley can do. And even if you get like 80%, 85% of what Bowers would have done, the contract value, like you get Bowers at 11, his contract's already going to be a top 10 tight end in the league versus Corley, who's like making peanuts for the next few years. Force Phil, you are ejected from the cockpit. Thanks so much for calling in, dude. Hopefully I hear from you again in the future. All right, let's go over to Kevin. Then we got Dano. Kevin, what's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going, Ryan? How you doing?
Pretty good. How you feeling about our draft?
Honestly, I'm pretty much in the same boat with everyone else. I thought we nailed it out of the park. It was a little bit too. I thought this draft was a little bit weird because they were picking everything we wanted them to pick.
Blew my mind. I was like, wow, this is like. Did they follow all the Jet channels? Because like everyone was talking about like, you know, obviously offensive line or weapon, whatever, the first one. But then like Corley was a fan favorite. Allen was a fan favorite. Travis was a fan favorite. It just like who's the next guy that they're going to take? It was just fascinating to watch.
Yeah, I was really surprised. You know, again, I was definitely a Rome Odunze fan. I definitely wanted him. But you know, you can never go wrong with the O-line. I was very surprised though that pick got a lot of hate for. Like, I know he's not the funniest, but like you gotta set up for the future, man. Tyron Smith is not going to be there forever, you know, and he could be injured anytime. I really enjoyed the Jordan Travis pick. I had him and Pratt as like the two developmental quarterbacks that I feel like have a lot of potential, huge ceiling that they can go for. I just had a question. It's not really about the draft, but like, how did you feel about the JFM like trade? Like, I thought.
So I have some very strong feelings on it. I think there was a handshake agreement with Denver, and I think the Jets moved Zach, and because the reports were the Jets are going to have to cut him. There's like nothing on the table for the Jets and Zach. I think what was going to happen was Denver was going to sign him. The Jets said, "Hey, throw us, you know, this pick and eat half the contract, and then come draft time, we'll send you JFM." That way, Jet fans are happy heading into the draft. We save a little bit of face. Denver fans are kind of frustrated. Then they get into the draft. They get JFM for peanuts, and their fans are like, "Oh, let's go. Here we go." And Jet fans are like, "Oh, really? That sucks, but we got such a great draft. It doesn't matter." It's like the best of both worlds for both teams. Just my thinking. I don't like the trade of John Franklin Myers, but if it was framed from that lens of like, you had to move him to get rid of Zach to get the pick that got you Corley, it's all right, I guess. In a vacuum, though, the John Franklin Myers trade, I would have liked to see him retained for the next 2 years, especially for what he got. I think he got like 2 years, $15 million.
Yeah, I was very surprised about that because I know I know they didn't restructure his deal with us there. So I was like a little bit bad, maybe, I don't know. Also the Corley pick, I've been seeing a lot of. I personally did not watch too much of him of Western Kentucky. But I know like he gives you like that Debo Samuel type of vibe, you know, like he's just like all around get the ball in his hand and make him make all the plays.
If he's like healthy Quincy Enunwa, like that would be wild. The hope that we had from Quincy back a bunch of years ago was just a bully. That it was Debo before Debo, and like Corley coming in, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what if he could get you. We've said it before, like that 80%, 85% of what Bowers was. Around the line of scrimmage, he's violent with the ball in his hands. Like imagine a situation where it is 4th or 3rd and short, and now you have Breece and Braylon Allen in the backfield with Malachi Corley running a jet sweep across the middle. Are they going to hand it off to one of the big bruising backs, or are they going to hand it off to Corley around the edge, or is Aaron Rodgers going to hold on to the ball and then throw it to like a Garrett or someone like that? I am wildly excited for where this offense could potentially be going, and hopefully Nathaniel Hackett gets his creative juices flowing a little bit, and Aaron Rodgers can make magic happen. Kevin,
cross my fingers to stay healthy.
You're out of here.
You've been ejected, dude. Thank you so much for the call-in. Let's go over to Dano. Dano won the putter a few years ago. Dano, I don't know if Blitzcrew's still in here. He may or may not be. Blitzcrew won the putter this year, and he's very excited about it. But what I learned when I just sent him the putter, I just placed the order. It's not going to have the JET etched on it. It's going to have it's like the green and all the customized stuff, but they took the etching ability away. So you've got a one of two, I guess. Like I've got mine and you've got yours.
Yes, sir. We're putter buddies.
How are you feeling about the draft,
I'm getting a little lag. So
here, you know what? Let me boot you off and then just come back in and I'll restart it. Yeah, sometimes this gives you a little bit of the funkiness when I have people sitting for too long. Dano was sitting in the back. All right, let's try this. How's it sound now?
All right, so putter buddies, yes.
Talk to me. How are you feeling about the draft?
Not nutter buddies, putter buddies. You know what? I'm kind of shocked at how many C's I'm seeing. I really am, because I think people forget what their expectations were coming into this. Like the team tackle, they wanted insurance for Tyron Smith. We got it. Okay. Team weapon, they wanted insurance should Garrett Wilson go down. We got it. We got wide receiver 4 on our board, apparently, which regardless of if he was 4th, I still think he's insurance if Garrett goes down, or if Mike Williams is slow to start. But then like digging into it, yes, there was other guys available, but you're telling me we got a developmental quarterback. We've got so I think the first running back, I think that's if Breece were to go down, we got him. But the second one, I feel like, is more so volume insurance, because we ran it 400 times last year, and that's while punting 99 times. If you
imagine having a ball with a lead.
Dude, we're gonna need to be able to house like 450 carries. So I feel like getting that second one, while I would have went another route, I see it, man. JD's an adult. He knows what he's doing. But then you say we got a third for next year. We can deal with the deadline and get another weapon if we need it. And then we also
Devontae Adams shaking loose. He didn't get a quarterback. I think that dream is on the table.
I think it is too. I really do, because I don't know. I feel like there's a way that you can get DJ Reed for 2025, but not 26. And I think most people think you either have to fully. I do think we can get him for next year alone, without giving him the bag.
I would love to get him. I mean, I feel like if I were him, I guess if you win a Super Bowl this year, you probably just go for the best contract you can get. If you're close this year, he may do a 1-year deal. Not prove it, but 1-year deal to kind of take one more crack at it.
That's what I'm thinking. And if you did that, then the timing would allow him to be in free agency before the age of 30. It would be like right up. He'd be signing a deal at 29 and a half or whatever. But okay. Left tackle insurance, wide receiver insurance. We got Breece Hall insurance. We got running back volume insurance. We got a developmental quarterback. Stiggers, I think, is the Chuck Clark insurance because he's coming off an ACL and he's a hybrid. He's just like Chuck Clark, if you ask me. But then we're also paying the rest of the bill for Aaron Rodgers. And we got that third to deal with the deadline, man. Get those C's out of the chat. It's at least a B+.
My total grade in total I had a lot of A's, I had a few C's and a B+ in there. My total grade for the draft is a B+, mainly because of like I would have loved to do something in the 4th round. I don't love moving down from 111. I like getting the 3rd round pick, but man, if you could have given me a Hicks or a TJ Tampa, that felt like it was right there for the taking.
Devontae Adams, it's not over. It's
INC, dude, if you get me Devontae Adams, I think it's on the table. I really do. Dano, any last words?
I started a channel at Dano Jets Friday nights.
Sub them up. I know I will. Dano, thank you so much for the call. You've been ejected from the cockpit. Dano winning his putter last year during the draft. Love it. Pure Adrenaline says, sorry I'm late. Jordan Travis is steal of the draft. Pure Adrenaline, always glad to have you in here. Boys and girls, very much love talking to you guys for the call-in show. This is always a blast. And look, we're going to continue doing this through the offseason. We'll see. I might pivot some timing of things. If I got something going on, I'll shift it to another day, but I'll let you guys know. Now, obviously, you guys see my report card here. I should have my total grade overall, so that way I have it when I go back to clip it. But either way, I got it in tweet form over on Twitter. Olu Fashanu, A for a grade. I think it was a necessary move that told me that Aaron Rodgers is not the GM of this team. It is Joe Douglas's team. He's here for beyond this season, while also providing us insurance for this season, because this team and regime is going to go far and is going to come back based on the health of Aaron Rodgers. Malachi Corley, love it. Absolutely like a great weapon. If I would have taken Bowers at 10, Malachi Corley is going to give me 80-85% of what Bowers was, with way less price tag and far more upside. Maybe not far more upside. Bowers is obviously an elite prospect for his position, but I'm happy with the way those first 2 picks went. The personalities on the 2 of them. Olu Fashanu saying that he would play any other position. He's open to that. Vast difference from the Mekhi Becton stuff with I'm just a left tackle. I don't want to play right tackle. Malachi Corley turning down $350,000 to $400,000 so he can stay at Western Kentucky rather than transferring to another school. Turns down the NIL deal because of his loyalty. That is the type of personality, the type of person that I love to see brought in here. That is a far cry from what we got out of Denzel Mims and a far cry from what we got out of Elijah Moore. I said at the time of drafting Elijah Moore that this guy is going to be a problem from a mentality standpoint because of his selfishness in the old piss game. Told you guys that as soon as we took him. Lo and behold, it reared its ugly head. Now, I had a lot of hope for him. But Malachi Corley is a different kind of cat. Braylon Allen, running back out of Wisconsin, my draft crush of the season. I could not tell you how happy I was to hear his name called. I was so pumped. Braylon Allen, 20 years old, will not have a legal drink of alcohol until like the AFC Championship game or like just after the AFC Championship game. January 20th is his 21st birthday. He graduated high school a year early. During the COVID year, he's like, hey, I want to get to college. I want to get, cracking on my career. So let me do my junior and senior year right now. I'll go to Wisconsin a year early. He comes out. He's the youngest player in this draft. Guy's an absolute freak, a workhorse. Very much excited for Braylon Allen. Jordan Travis. If there was one quarterback I wanted in this draft class, it was Jordan Travis. The upside, astronomical. Could have been a early mid second round pick if he had stayed healthy. Talking about the potential Heisman candidacy. Obviously I think Jaden Daniels would have had it either way, but at least would have probably been invited. Like, very much love the Jordan Travis pick. Jermaine Johnson being in the building, I think, gives you a little bit of like street cred kind of coming into the building. And then obviously a 4-year contract. You're sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for 2 years. You got Tyrod Taylor, who's a very similar quarterback, and you might be able to IR him and save the roster spot for an offensive lineman that you wanted to carry last year. That is the one thing I've been hammering home. And if the Jets do it, I'm going to be taking a goddamn victory lap, because I very much am championing the IR of Jordan Travis. Give him the true redshirt year we did not give to Sam Darnold and we did not give to Zach Wilson. The personality difference with the, from Zach Wilson to Jordan Travis could not be more different. You got a guy that was the number 2 overall pick in a COVID year that had the biggest, beefiest, oldest offensive line in all of college football, had a zillion hours to sit behind there and, rip the ball downfield. Incredibly talented Zach Wilson was. But Jordan Travis breaks his ankle heading into the playoffs in an undefeated season, could have gone, could have taken his team. His team falls out of the playoffs. This guy goes through all that adversity, falls, loses millions of dollars going from 2nd round to 5th round. Talk about eating some humble pie and knowing that this could all be taken from you in a second. Jordan Travis is going to have the mentality that I think you need to have at the quarterback position. And the fact that we could redshirt him and groom him the way we want to groom him is just an absolute home run. It's an A+ for me every damn day of the week. Isaiah Davis, now Dano is convincing me a little bit. I'll be honest. I did not really think of it from a volume perspective. If we're going to run the ball 450 potential times, you're going to need a lot of volume. You're going to need that ability to have fresh legs late into games. Like, if we're dominating, I don't really want Breece Hall to have the ball in the 3rd and 4th quarter. If we're dominating, we're just trying to run clock, give it to Braylon Allen, give it to Isaiah Davis. Just pound the rock, beat him into submission, and let Breece cook when you need him to cook early on and save his legs for the games that matter most. Maybe this is a situation where, like, Breece Hall doesn't get the 2,000 yards that I think he's going to get because we are leading by so much. We're trying to give him as much rest as possible. I love the running back by committee while also giving us a little bit of depth. God forbid Breece misses any kind of time. Davis, Izzy, Allen can hold down the fort for the time being. I really like this. I think this implies we are going to be running the ball a whole heck of a lot. But I will give it a C because I did not like the selection there when there were some other guys on the board that I would have, probably liked. Still didn't like the so much trading around in the 4th round. If you could have got me a Jaden Hicks, if you could have got me a TJ Tampa, I feel like the secondary could have vastly been improved, or at least been prepared for future leavings and whatnot. Quantez Stiggers, this guy's a complete dart throw. Who knows? Rookie of the year in the Canadian Football League. This is someone who has crazy upside. Is it going to work out? I have no idea. We heard maybe a Chuck Clark potential replacement. That'd be kind of nice. A little bit of insurance there. I think these final 3 guys are going to be more of a special teams help, at least early on in their career. And with the way that special teams has changed this year, the 11 guys on the field for that particular set of plays over the course of a season is going to be so critical. We are going to see so many more touchdowns this year than we saw in the last 10 years or whatever it is since they screwed around with the kickoff formula. Having it set up the way it is now allows for incredible big plays to actually happen. And having a full roster of guys as opposed to just the kick returner and just some thrower long guys that you can have is going to go a long way. Jalen Key, look, I'll be honest, I don't know a whole heck of a lot about him. Sounds like he's a box safety from what I've heard. High upside, dart throw. Why not? Mr. Irrelevant. What's the worst thing that happens? I'm not going to lose too much sleep about it. I do have Alan on the line. Let's head over to Alan. I want to hear what you got to say, dude. I did not add you to there. There you go. Boom. What's up, Alan?
Hey, what's going on, Ryan? Love your passion. Love the work that you do. I wish you were my teacher growing up based on these grades. Because
I got a curve.
Oh my God. God bless you.
Talk to me. What don't you like about it?
I had a C+ for the grades, and I'll tell you why.
Okay. So my overall grade for the draft was a B+.
For the entire draft, that is C+.
Okay.
I liked the first 2 picks. I liked the order they were taken.
Okay.
I gave the first 2 picks combined about a B+, A-.
Okay.
And then came day 3, and just everything went to shit. Okay.
You didn't like the first 2. You don't like Allen or Travis?
I did not like Jordan Travis. I don't think Jordan Travis is a good quarterback. That's my opinion. Okay. I know you gave him an A+. I would not have taken a quarterback until maybe the 6th or 7th round.
I guess based on where Pratt went, you could feel a little more confident, I guess, like going with him later.
Absolutely. I think Jordan Travis would be an IR guy the whole year. I don't think you'll see him this year. He's a stash guy, like you see in the NBA when people get drafted in the second round, they send him to Europe for 5 years. He's pretty much what they're going to do this year.
Yep,
I like Braylon Allen. I hope we get the 2022 Braylon Allen. Again, I'm an Iowa fan. I saw him this year. He was not good. I know they changed their running style at Wisconsin. I think he's a nice complimentary back. This is what bothered me on day 2. I hated the 2 running backs. It made no sense. I felt like we were back in the 1960s drafting 2 running backs in the same draft. Made no sense. No.
Yep, I agree.
0. Okay. I also hated 3 of the 4 trades. I liked the Detroit trade, don't get me wrong. I didn't understand the Green Bay trade. What I heard was the Jets had interest in Javon Baker.
Yep.
At 111, he was taken by the Pats at 110. And it completely screwed up JD's mindset because he basically called up his best friend Brian Gutekunst and says, here, you can have my pick. We'll just take your crappy 6th-round pick.
And
remember,
we'll take the loss of points, too.
Yeah. The Packers had 2 picks in the 5th round. Why didn't they take one of those? It made no sense. I agree with you. I watched Iowa State throughout the last couple of years. TJ Tampa is a day 1 starter next year.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And to me, you put a 6'2" TJ Tampa next to a 6'3" Sauce Gardner in 2025, you are cooking. I know you gave Stiggers a B+.
I think it's because of how late it is in the draft and the swing of upside. Like, so there is a curve as you get later on into it. I will say that. Like, I love the first 4 picks. The ones later on, I don't weigh as heavily. Which is weird, 'cause I guess if I weigh it heavier, then the A+, making it a B+ is weird. I'm not.
I love the story of. I love the stories of Jordan Travis and Stiggers, okay? Were they overdrafted? Yeah, they were. I think both of 6th, 7th rounders. Stiggers is a hit or miss guy. To me, it's a C pick. You have no idea what you're getting. You might get yourself a day 1 starter in 2025, or you may get a guy who might be back in the CFL in 2025. You have no idea, okay?
But now the gamble of him potentially being a starter, is that not a high enough value at that point in the draft to be like, that's pretty decent? Like, I feel like you could argue Brendan Rice because of like the pedigree and maybe the position of need a little bit more. You don't like Rice?
I was never a Brendan Rice fan at all. To me, what bothered me the most is taking Isaiah Davis 6 picks in front of Malik Washington. Again, you look at this roster, I still think they were wide receiver short. And I would not be.
Do you think they would have taken Malik Washington after taking Malachi Corley? I feel like they're too redundant at that. I mean, I like Washington, don't get me wrong, but
or I think they would have taken Wilson out of Florida State a couple of picks later, just based on the size. I didn't understand the Isaiah Davis pick. I understand they said the coaching staff and the scouts were pounding the table. You don't take 2 running backs in the same draft. You don't.
It feels weird.
Okay, it's a subpar running back draft, and you basically took the 6th and the 11th best running backs in the same draft. I actually had more confidence in the 3 defensive guys they picked up as UDFAs than I did the last 3 in the draft. Whether it's the kid McGregor from Michigan or Taylor out of Miami or Ellis out of Connecticut, I have more confidence in those 3 guys than I do with Davis, Stiggers, and Key. That's what bothers me. I understand you like Stiggers. I understand people like Stiggers. He's a C pick because you have no idea what you're getting. He's average. Again, Davis to me is a C- pick because it was not worth it. And I mean, incomplete on the last player. I wish they could have drafted a linebacker. I still have worries about this linebacking crew. Again, people love C.J. Mosley. C.J. Mosley is a little long on the tooth for me. He's maybe on the way out after this year. I want young blood, okay? Here's a perfect example. I look at the first 4 players taken by Pittsburgh in their draft. When it's the 2 offensive linemen in Frazier and Fashanu, they took Roman Wilson as a slot guy and Peyton Wilson as a linebacker. That's
a nice draft. Yeah, that's a nice draft.
Yes. So
different
again,
needs, kind of though. I mean, well, I guess we didn't have a second round pick. That's the biggest part of that. If we had a second round pick, you might have seen 2 offensive linemen in our first 4, and then it would be a little closer.
You had 3 4th-round picks.
I know we trade out. I'm pissed. I didn't want to trade out. I'm with you on that.
3 4th-round picks, and you end up with a backup running back, a 2025 3rd-round pick, and a bunch of dart throws.
Now, what if the 2025 3rd-round pick becomes Devontae Adams?
Right? Do I think they're trading him? I don't know. I
think not getting Penix and not getting Jaden Daniels, I think if the Raiders season is looking murky around the trade deadline, I think 100% he's a New York Jet.
I think it's more likely they go get us Courtland Sutton than getting one of the San Francisco guys or an Adams.
If we get Courtland Sutton after I was pounding the table for Courtland Sutton all damn offseason, I'm going to be pumped. I'm going to be so stoked. I don't know if I see it happening, but again, we traded twice with Denver already, so maybe there is a shot we get him here. I'd take it.
That's true. I am also bothered by the fact.
Don't care. Thank you so much for the call. You've been a call. You've been a call. You've been a call. You've been a call. I'm getting tired. I've been 3 days of streaming and then also like working all day, getting to here. It's 10:45. Ryan's going to take some gummies, take a nap. If you guys want to support the channel, get yourself some THC gummies. Head down in the description down below. You could also check out Aura. Head down in the description down below. If you want to get yourself some Cuts clothing, holy smokes, stuff's really comfortable. I did not put that in the description down below. I probably should have that down there. Very much approved. Boys, this is my draft grades. I would call it a B+ overall draft. The reason the grade comes down a little bit after having such high grades for the first 4 is because of the trades in the 4th round, and I don't like the JFM deal that you made, but I feel like there's a little shady stuff going on between what we got for Zach Wilson and what we ultimately got back from John Franklin Myers. I think there was a little handshake agreement there. So guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jet.